Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Okay. So, sharing my screen. So, today we'll do week 12 concept summary. Okay. So, we have very few things to learn in week 12 related to graphical user interface developing using some packages like AWT and Swing package. We'll go through it. Okay. So, we start with what is graphical user interface. Basically, what we usually deal with, kind of this Chrome browser or any other GUI we have. So we will interact with some kind of software using buttons or text field or label or something similar to this kind of components. So you have to remember that the term components, when we refer to components, we mean it will be either button, text field, label, or these kind of things where user can
Excuse me, ma'am.
interact. Yeah.
Can you zoom in, ma'am? Content is
Okay.
so smaller.
Fine. 150 will be enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, example, a login form, a calculator, or any browsers or text editors or anything like this. Now, what is the advantage of using graphical user interface compared to command line interface? First thing is user friendly, right? You don't have to remember those commands and all, and you can deal with an application using graphical user interface easily without even knowing the programming part, programming aspect of this kind of applications. The second thing is intuitive and visually engaging compared to command line interface. There you just see black screen or white screen, and here you can have different components where you can directly communicate easily, right? So this part. So whenever you design any UI pages or anything, you'll look into this thing, visually engaging or not. Now, when it comes to GUI development in Java, we have two main packages available. One is AWT, Abstract Window Toolkit, and it is part of Java's core library. So if you look in the documentation, you'll see AWT package, and it's a package and it contains many components like buttons, labels, etc. And all of these will be classes. You see, this is our package, and we have these many classes here. So we'll be going through button. This will create a normal button with a label on it. We can give the label what you want to display for the button. We can have a checkbox. Uh, Many things are available. So all these classes comes under AWT package. Okay. Now, what you have to do, you have to create an object of those classes, and they will provide some methods and all that you can use on this object of buttons or labels. With that, you can have some interaction. So the drawbacks that we have for AWT is they are platform dependent. They are heavyweight components that depends on the native platform. So according to when you change the platform, it will change how it is rendering. So these are some of the classes that comes under AWT. Now look at Swing. Swing is another package we have that is built on top of AWT package, and this comes under Java X.Swing. Okay, here it is java.awt. Now this, sorry. So in Swing, it is actually platform independent. So however, in whichever system you run, it will be same. And the classes that is provided by Swing package are JButton, JLabel, JTable, etc. So whichever classes we have seen in AWT, now just add prefix it with J. So that will become a class from Swing. Okay, so that is the only thing you have to remember. You add a J, then that will be coming from Swing package. Advantage of Swing package is richer UI components and look and feel will be better than AWT package, and they are independent of the OS native platform. So this is theory part. Now let's see how actually we can create a GUI in Java. So first of all, I'll just take you through these steps. Okay, so this is easy. When you go through the steps and then go to the programming side, it will be easy to understand. So first of all, you have to import the required packages. So we have seen two packages. You will import those two packages. Even though Swing is built on top of AWT, sometimes we need AWT as well, because to include some things called as layout manager. So when you have some frame, okay, some window you can say, and if you are adding some components into it like buttons or labels or anything, you want them to be arranged in a particular manner. Okay, the way you arrange, there are different ways that you can arrange using layout managers. You'll see that in detail. Now, once you import the required package, you will create a frame. So, this frame you can relate it with the bigger version. So, frame we can say, which includes these buttons like minimize, maximize, and close, which includes the title of the frame or the window itself. So, that is our main frame. Main window of the application is this frame. So in AWT, you have a class called frame. So you have to either create an object of this frame and add all the components into it, or if you are using Swing, you will use JFrame. Okay, just add a J to it. Now, once you create a frame, a few things you have to remember. You have to set the size of the frame, then layout. Layout means how these components are arranged in the frame. Then the visibility. So visibility by default it will be false, so we'll be setting that to true. Now once you create the frame, now we think we just have a frame. Okay, we have not added anything. It's like an empty paper. Now you'll create components. So as I said, components means either button, label, text field, checkbox or anything. So you will create object of these classes: button or JButton from Swing, button from AWT, labels. If you're using Swing package, it will be JLabel, and for text field you have class called JTextField. So you'll create object of these classes. So we have created components right here. Once you create components, then you have to organize these components in containers, which means we already had a frame. Okay, now either you can directly add these components into our frame, or we can combine these components together into something called as panel. That is like one more layer. Okay, so think it of like you have a frame here, and inside that are going to add a panel, a smaller container, and you will add the components into this container. Okay, so use JPanel to group components. So you'll create panel and then add components into this panel. So you can set the layout for this panel as well. So I'll just show one image. Consider this. The outer layer you see, right? That is our window, that is our frame. Now we have added buttons directly into this frame. Okay. And we can do something like the frame itself can be divided into different container, different panels in terms of Java's package classes. So what you will do is ID and password. These two buttons you will add into one panel, and the submit button you will add into another panel. Now we have two panel, and you will add the panel into the frame. So layering, we are kind of layering those components into panel and then to frame. Then So once you have the panel, you are adding into the frame. That is how the stepwise we are doing in this manner. Now use the frame's default border layout. So these are classes that help in arranging these buttons or the components or the panels into the frame. Okay. So then we will make the frame visible using set visible as true. So here, which one, this layout thing. So we have different kind of layout, border layout, a grid layout, and also flow layout. So in border layout, consider this frame. In border layout, the area is divided into different parts like north, south, east, west, and center. Okay. And you can add your elements, your components into any part. You can specify to which part of the frame you want to add the components. That is border layout. And in flow layout, if you choose your frame to follow flow layout, then what will happen is when you add buttons or components, it will be added in a flowing manner, like horizontally it will add, and once this area fill, it will go to next line. So that is how flow layout manages the arrangement. And we also have grid layout. In grid layout, you have to specify the number of rows and number of columns. It will actually arrange in a table manner. So if you have 3 by 4 or something, then 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, that is grid layout. So you have some examples in um, practice assignment, I guess. You see here, this is, what do you think? Which layout it is following?
Flow
Yeah.
means third option.
No, 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 no. Not flow. North, south, center. See here. So line 1 we have to fill. So here we have buttons. We have added those buttons into different areas. So which layout? Border layout. Okay. So that is border layout. In border layout, you will divide the frame into different areas and you will add the buttons into these areas. North, center, west, east, south. And okay, here to grid layout. They have followed grid layout and 3 comma 2. 3 rows and 2 columns. So this will be the answer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And one more we had, right? Okay, we'll see while we code. Okay. So here it is actually following flow layout, ID and password. Maybe this is one extra panel. In that panel, the components are arranged in this manner, horizontal manner. Okay, one after another.
What is the meaning of flow layout? Can you tell once again?
Yeah, so components will be arranged one after another. So it will start in horizontal manner. So ID, password, and then something will be added if we have. And then once this line fills up completely, then it will go to next line.
Okay, ma'am.
So
The previous question which you explained from the programming assignment, ma'am.
mm, this one, border layout.
Yes.
Okay, in this, the frame is here. Here we have to fill a line 1, and you see in the rest of the part we have 5 buttons and they are added to different areas like this: north, center, west, east, south. So if we are adding to these different parts, then the layout should be border layout only. Getting it? And the
So it will always have five components.
it's up to you. It's not like mandatory to have 5 components. It's up to you.
But maximum, is it five, or we can
No,
add?
no. We can add more. It will arrange accordingly. Okay, so that is our steps. Now let's go with same steps explained here. And yeah, one more thing is if you do not specify a layout for frame, by default it will take border layout. And for panel, it will take flow layout. Flow layout is default for panel, and border layout is default for frame. So in this example, what we have done is we have imported the package, and here frame test1 is our class, and it is extending class frame. Okay, and now here we are creating ID, password, and submit buttons. Okay, we just have the reference variable over here of type button, and in the constructor we will give everything. We'll create the buttons and do all the things inside the constructor itself. So once you create the object of frame test11, then your GUI will appear. Okay, so first of all what we did is we are explicitly setting layout for the frame. If you do not specify it, it will be border layout, but if you want to specify, then you have to use this method called set layout. Okay, set layout from frame. So that's why we are not calling with any particular object, because we are already extending frame test1 with frame. So we can call the superclass methods, right? So call set layout method, and pass whatever the layout that you want. So new flow layout means you are setting that the layout for this particular frame is flow layout. Now here we are actually creating the object of buttons. So id is the name. Here we have new button, and you can give label for that particular button which will be appearing on top of the button. Then password, here giving label, and for submit again creating a new button, and label is submit. And then we are adding this id, password, and submit button into into the frame directly. Here we are calling without any object, right? So we are in frame, so this buttons are added into our frame. So add method is used to add this button into our frame. Now next important thing is we have to set the visibility back to true, and also you have to set the size of the frame, so 300 into 400 width and height. So what will it create? It will create a frame, and it will have 3 buttons, and it is following flow layout. So buttons will be arranged one after another, and then this will be the size of the frame. So in class test1 we are creating an object of test11. This constructor will be called, and we will get the GUI displayed. You see, this is our sorry. So this is our frame, and here we have 3 buttons. Okay, basic thing. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, irrespective of this, one doubt is there, ma'am. General doubt, can I ask? Ma'am, OP we need to give in the same laptop which we have taken SCT, na, ma'am? Or any
Yeah.
other also we can do?
It is better to give in the same laptop. If
But in
something
the same laptop, some access issue was came, like camera access issue was came, so exam is not happened kind, and it is scheduled for the next day. Uh, it should that the ma'am scheduled for the next day. So as per that request, some they passed away, and then they conducted the exam for the next day, and I did with the exam. But in the dashboard, it is showing absent.
oh,
She told you do in another laptop because the access problem is getting problem na in this. So you make arrange with the Windows laptop like that. She told, and I arranged with my brother's laptop and I did with that. So that laptop changing is a issue, or date only for the today has rescheduled for tomorrow. Have done with the exam. That is the issue, or what is the thing is both the
okay.
scenarios.
You are saying absent, right? Maybe the scores are not released. That's why it is
No,
absent.
ma'am, scores released, ma'am, because
OP
I
one or OP
supposed to
two?
be sixth, no, but sixth, but seventh also came. Sixth came, seventh came. If I check with the people, so my supposed to be sixth, but seventh it was happened. Both the results was came kinda.
Uh,
So in this
no, no,
scenario,
no,
what should
no.
I?
I don't think result is published.
Not
Can anyone confirm
not for
others?
Java, ma'am. For other subject DBMS, I don't. I just only did. So in this case, how should approach? What is the scenario that I should follow? To check over, I just ask. Maybe
Yeah,
OP
yeah,
is common
understood.
for all the scenarios now.
No, no, because scores will come to us. Anybody else see that absent or marks in your dashboard, Kailash?
No, ma'am, no.
Huh?
No, right? It's just
No.
absent as of now.
Which one, ma'am?
For everyone, it is same, I guess. Scores are not published for Java.
Java, no, ma'am. DBMS.
You are asking about DBMS, huh?
But OP is a common now, so you also could be aware, kind like that. I thought of
Actually,
asking.
it's course wise, so I cannot comment on that.
Okay, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's the issue only. I need to
Or,
report in anywhere, and I need to get
uh-huh.
back.
You can post in the discourse, tag Piyush sir, Piyush Manitipa, etc.
Mm,
Okay,
okay,
I will also, yeah.
okay,
Tell.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so mm, this in this particular program we have only a frame.
Ma'am,
Mm, yeah.
the fonts are very small, very difficult to
Yeah, yeah.
see,
I
ma'am.
saw
If
that.
you can visualize a bit,
Yes.
zoom in a bit.
Is this fine? It's okay, right?
Little more would be good, ma'am.
Mm, okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So, okay, in this particular program, we just have a frame and these components, we are just adding these components into the frame, right? We have not involved panel here. So let's see one more. Yeah, this question. Okay. See this, we have one more layering in this particular program, panel. So same thing, we'll start with, okay, we have changed the package also. Here we will use a swing package. Okay. And this class extends JFrame. And here we are not adding any particular layout. So by default, it will take border layout. Then we are creating our buttons. So as it is from swing package, J button, ID, password, and submit. And here we will also create two panels, panel 1 and panel 2. Now everything will put inside the constructor. So here we start with creating the button and the label is ID, password, label is password here. And here we are creating a panel, P1 new J panel. So it will create a panel object. And for panel by default, the layout will be flow layout. Okay. Now what you can do is here we are adding our ID and password into this panel. Okay, ID and password we have added into panel 1. So we are specifying panel 1 dot add ID. So earlier it was directly adding to frame, right? So we were not specifying the object. Now we are adding to this panel object. So p1 dot add id and p1 dot add password. Next, we have submit button. We are creating the submit button with the label submit. And then we have created another panel object p2. Now we are adding submit button into p2. p2 dot add submit. Okay, now we have two panel. Each panel has its own components. Some components we have added. Now, still we have not connected the components with our frame, right? But we have added components, our buttons into panel. Now we will add panel into frame. Okay, so here by default it is taking border layout. So border layout we will add our panel P1 to north part of the frame and panel P2 to south part of the frame. So adding P1 and specifying the area where to add and P2 to the south of the frame. Once we
And
yeah.
is it necessary to give north or south, or it will take default?
No, it is necessary to give the area where you have to put. Yeah. So after that, you set the visibility to true and set the size of the frame. Understood, right? We have buttons, we have panel. We'll add buttons to panel and then panel to frame. Simple only. And
Ma'am,
mm,
how many maximum frames we can have?
maximum, I'm not sure. We'll check it, okay? We'll check and come back in revision session.
Okay, yeah.
Just to so ID, password here. This is our panel 1 and this is our panel 2 and the submit button. Clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then okay, let's
Hello.
go with the yeah.
How can she dispatch of her button, ma'am?
Uh,
Output, ma'am?
sorry, you're yeah. Please repeat.
This code output. See, hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not getting actually. Yeah, can you tell me again?
This code output. How can you say, ma'am? Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Can anyone else hear him properly?
No, ma'am.
Can you put in the chat box, Basant Kumar? Output, how can you find out? Okay, output is our GUI frame. This one. Okay, here we are creating this graphical user interfaces using Java code. So we will get output in this manner. Fine, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then we'll go with the second important part of week 12. Event handling. So till now we just have created these buttons, and when we click on those buttons nothing is happening, right? So next what we will do is, when you look at this particular browser, so when you click on close button we will exit from this browser, right? So it's something is happening when you click on something, something is happening. So that is event handling. According to the user interaction, something has to happen. Okay, so in event handling, let's look at three terms. One is event source. Event source means the component that generates an event. So, for example, a button, this close button. So, close button, when you click on close button, this should exit from the browser. So, clicking on the close button is generating some event, right? So, button itself is the event source. Who is generating the event? That is event source. Then we have event object. Event object means contains information about the event. So when you click on the button, somebody will be there listening to this. Okay. And what will happen is, first of all, it will create an event object that will contain the information about this particular event. Someone has clicked the button. That information will be stored in event object. And event listener is the one that will actually process the event. So when it comes to the programming side of this, event listener is some part of the code, maybe a method, that will be triggered when this source generate an event. Who will pass the information? Event object will contain that information that will be passed to event listener. Okay. Source is the one which generates the event. Event object will contain all the information about the event, which button has clicked. Okay, those kind of things. And event listener is the one which actually process the event. So actual closing of the browser will happen only when event listener does something. So these are the three important part of event handling. Now, so when it comes to Java, the GUI part, what we have to do is, we have some steps in event handling. One is register the listener, which means when you click on the close button, somebody should listen, right? Somebody should take that and process. So we have to connect them together. That listener and the source should be connected. So attach the listener to the event source. That should be our first step. Event source and listener should be connected. For that, we have some methods like add action listener. So add action and listener will connect our source with the listener. We'll see this in programming side. Now just focus on the theory part. Then implement the listener interface. So implement the listener interface means, as I said, when this event is generated, something has to happen. So some methods will be invoked. So this we will have some listener interface provided by Java packages. And what we will do is, we'll have some methods to override. And when the event happens, these methods will be called. Okay. So we will override these methods, something like action performed method coming from the listener interfaces. Now, let's see some of the common listener interfaces we have. One is action listener. Action listener is used for some button clicks. When you click on a button, then you have to invoke this method, action performed. So when you click on the button, what you want to do, that steps will be added into this particular method, action performed. And key listener, we have many events related to key, like key pressed, key released, key typed, etc. You'll see some programs related to this in a practice assignment, so try it out. And mouse listener also we have used for mouse events like mouse click, mouse pressed, mouse release. These are the methods. Now, let's see. Okay, look at this. Suppose we want to develop this. Okay, what I want is, I need this space where I'll add some number and number 2. Okay, and once I get this number, I'll click on add. Then the addition, the result of addition should appear here. And if I click on multiply, the result of multiplication, the product should appear here. So that is what I want. So when you click on add, I want to get result here. And when you click on multiply, result should be published here. So either add or multiply result will be present in this area. Okay. So how can we do this? So we have to import these packages in AWT event package. And then first of all, we have to extend JFrame, or you can add the other way also is fine. Anyway, we'll go with this. We'll extend JFrame and then we'll implement the action listener. So this is going to be related to button. So we'll use this particular interface action listener. And these are the components that we need. If you look at this, we have two labels. These are text fields and two buttons. Here again another label. Here an empty label we are expecting. So some 4 labels we need. 2 buttons, add and multiply, 2 text fields, and some 3 panels to arrange this. Like these things, the first line will be added into one panel, add and multiply will be added into another panel, result will be added into third panel. So here, this is our constructor. First of all, we are creating a panel. Okay. And here we are creating the first label for enter number 1. This one. And then we'll create for this, then for this, and then for this. So next we have text field, and then we have L2, another label enter number 2, and another text field. So we have all those 4 components here. Then we'll add these 4 components into our first panel P1. P1 dot add L1, P1 dot add T1, P1 dot add L2, P1 dot add T2. So all these 4 components are added into panel P1. Okay. And which layout it will follow? Flow layout. By default in panel it is flow layout, so it will follow flow layout. Now I'm adding this P1 to the north part of our frame. Frame follows border layout by default, so I'm adding panel 1 to the north part of the frame. Then I'm creating another panel P2. Here I'm creating add button, multiply button. So here you see on top of that this will be appearing, right? And here P2 dot add, which means I'm adding add button into panel 2 and adding multiply button into panel 2. So add and multiply are in panel 2 now. And then adding this panel to the center part of the frame. Okay, adding the panel to the center part of the frame. Second panel is ready. So we reached here. Next, panel 3. So in panel 3, what we have? Label 3, result, and also we have label 4. So label 4 we are creating empty one. We have not added any text over here. We are expecting our result. We will put that result in this label 4. And then adding L3 and L4 into panel 3. Okay. Adding panel 3 to south part of the frame. Next, setting the visibility to true and setting the size of the frame 600 by 140. Till this clear, right?
Ma'am, could you please go up? You have added P2 in
P2 to frame. Our
center. Okay,
yeah.
center.
Yeah.
I've got it.
P3 is in the south position. Then, okay, when we do these many things like created the buttons, added into the panel, added to the frame. Now it is static, right? Now, event handling comes after this. So you see we have implemented action listener. So the action listener gives us a method called action performed. Okay, this action performed will take the action event. So when you click on some button, the information related to that particular event will be added into this object of action event, and using this action event object you will get which button is actually pressed, all those things. So we will override the action performed method that is offered by action listener, that is coming from action listener. So whatever things that you want to do when the event happens, you will put inside this method. Okay, what is our goal? When you click on add button, you want to get the sum, and when you click on the multiply button, you want to get the product, right? Now, one more thing is this particular text field we have, right? Text field will take everything in string format. Just like in Python we have input method, right? It will take in string format. So if you want to add uh, the exact numbers, the integer part, then you have to convert into integer. So we are using this pass int method that is coming from integer class and converting that text whatever you receive from t1. T1 will have one number, t2 will have another number, right? So t1 dot get text will uh, give you the whatever the text that you have in that text box, and you will convert into integer here and put inside number 1, line 54. And again t2, from t2 we will have another number, you will convert into integer and put inside number 2. Okay, now, okay, rest we'll go back and see the connection. So as you have seen in the theory part, we have to connect the event source with the listener, right? So we can consider this as the listener, this action performed method. So we have to connect this add and multiply button with this action performed. For that we have this particular method add action listener. So this will attach the listener to the event source. So add is our object, add dot add action listener, this particular current instance, and multiply dot add action listener, the current one. So this is building the connection between action performed method and our buttons. Is that clear? Getting it right? These two lines, add action listener is connecting our event source with the listener. Now, okay, here we are using set action command and get action method. So what we are doing here, add dot set action command add. So when you click on add button, the add object, right? When you click on add button, then you set the action command as this capital add. And when you click on the multiply button, you set the action command as capital multiply. So these two text add and multiply, this capital one, this you can retrieve using the action event object. So once you click on the button, the information about the button will be saved into action event object, right? And this set action command will add this add in for add button and multiply for multiply button. Okay, and we have a method called get action command, which will give us this particular add or multiply according to which button is pressed. So here you see, here we have a string s, and get action command, you see the definition, returns the command string associated with this action. So we are calling it using our action event object e dot get action command. So you will receive either capital add or capital multiply, okay, according to which command got added using these two methods. Now, if our string is equal to capital add, that means add button is pressed, then what will you do? You will sum number 1 and number 2. And then label 4 we have an empty label. We'll set the text over there. Sum is whatever the sum we get over here. Okay. Otherwise, if you had clicked on multiply button, then the set action command will set the action command as multiply, capital multiply. So the string yes, you will get capital multiply. Then you will fall into the else block. In else block, you will what will you do? You will get the product of number 1 and number 2, and you will set product is P in label 4. Getting it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So main thing is you have to remember that we have event source, we have listener. We'll connect the source with the listener using this method. So this is very important. Okay. And this is one way of retrieving the details of action event. Set action command and get action command. You will see another one. I'll show that. Okay, let's complete this. Okay, so we'll add 45 with 45. Click on add, you'll get result sum is 90. And if you click on multiply, you'll get 2025 product. So according to which button you click, you'll get the result here. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah. So remember this part. You have to attach the event to listener. So see this same only, a small change. Okay, here you don't see set action command and get action command, right? So this is going to connect the source with the event, the listener, and here we have our action event object. So using the action event object, we have something called a method called get source. So get source will return the object itself. So here you see the add button, the object name is AD, and the multiply button, object name is multiply, our reference variable name. Okay, and this get source will return the name of the object itself. So if you equate it with AD, then get source, it means that you have clicked on add, and rest of the thing is same. Okay, just this without using get action command and set action command, directly using the get source method given by action event. Okay. So in terms of exam point of view, event handling is very very important, and this layout thing and methods and all, once you go through this, you will be able to remember these methods. And it's like you can infer from the class name and method name itself, right? Just add all those things. Okay. Each object generates its own type of event, create an appropriate event handler and link it to the object. Unit that sends space is a frame. Individual objects have to embed in panels which are then added to frame. Okay. Any doubt you have? Okay. So start preparing for end term, and we'll see from next session. It will be end term revision. Okay. Okay. Then winding up the session. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.